What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage, and yes, we still post up deck profiles every now and then. It's been a bit, but thank y'all for dropping by. Today I wanted to go over a deck profile that I've been working on for Bang Dream. It's red-blue, and I've been working on this for the past couple months in my off time of trying to work on other stuff as well. Got a couple other decks I'm still testing out, and I also need to record a deck profile for the SAO deck that I took to regionals. But for now, I wanted to bring y'all this one because I'm working on this one a whole bunch, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to show this one off now. So here we go. Let's bounce into Bang Dream, and this is the one of the standby deck versions. So it's a different play style than what I'm used to. So it's been a very interesting learning experience. Let's start right off with the little zeros. First off, we have a new start Saya. This card's powerful. This is really good. So on play, it's got two different on play effects. You can choose the order, obviously. The first one is a mandatory. You have to mill 2 cards from the top of your deck when she's played. If there is at least one climax amongst those, choose one of your other characters, and it gets 1500 power until the end of turn. So that's neat as an extra little buff, but you like the second effect more, which is on play you can pay 1 and then discard a card to... Oh, salvage, I'm sorry. Yep, salvage. I was about to say search, and I realized, I was like, no, it's not search, it's salvage. Pay 1, pitch 1 to salvage a character, or a music character, back from your waiting room to your hand, and then choose another one of your characters, and that character gets 1000 power. Excuse me, I almost messed up there. I haven't been cheating. Anyway, so it's really good. One, you can actually use that first effect to fuel, like throw some extra cards into your waiting room, and then be able to salvage something back with it. So it's really cool that way. Next is 4 copies of the Starbeat Rimi. It's a free runner from the trial deck, so this was a little bit tough to get as far as like if you did not get the trial deck, so or trial deck plus, excuse me. Really good, and I feel that it's a necessary 4 of staple. Next we have Way Home Arisa. Is a it's 2 effects. First off, it's a brainstormer. Just get that out of the way here. Pay 1, tap 2 characters, mill 4 for every climax search. So that's why I was confused to search between that. Her first effect, though, is at the beginning of your climax phase, you may mill the top card of your deck. And if it is a climax, all your characters get 500 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. Minimal there, doesn't really do a whole lot of impact, but you can just choose not to do it. But she's more there for the brainstorm than anything. Next, because you have big characters and like to save them, Lunch Break Tae. She's a 500 assist in front, so that's always nice. But when one of your characters will be sent to the waiting room, if she is in the back row, you can send her to the waiting room and encore back that character. It doesn't actually count as encore. So any climax combo effects that state your opponent cannot use encore, this gets around and you can still do it. So next is 2 copies of Live House at Sunset Rimi. This is really useful as well for being able to play the standby triggers, which I'll give an example. It's kind of like a climax combo. But first off, on play, give another character 1000 power to end turn. Really cool. When you play a climax, it doesn't have to be the standby, but as long as if you play any climax, you can bounce it back to your hand and give another character 2000 power till end of turn. So what's really useful with this is when you play this, go ahead and use that effect, bounce back. You now have an open slot in the back row, and you have a space you can summon something with the standby effect. So, which I'll get the standby effect later and explain that, but that's whatever. So it's really cool to be able to make certain that you have an open slot to be able to summon something and not have to summon over something. So then is Twinkle Kasumi, 2 copies of. On death, you can pay 1, deal yourself a damage from the top of the deck to salvage back a music character. I say music, but it's basically all 5 of the Poppin' Party girls. So it is restricted to the Poppin' Party girls when the next set comes out, but I just stated music for the fuck of it right there. You can also grab Asuka, I think. No, you can't. I'm sorry. No, you cannot grab Asuka with that. So it's just the Poppin' Party girls. So we got 7, 9, 11, 13, 16. I think I counted that right. If I did not, I apologize. All right, let's get into the level 1s. A little bit simpler, kind of. We got 3 copies of Something in the Warehouse. Anyone trying to find Happy Christmas Kasumis knows what this card does. But for those who don't, it is a event, level 1 event. You brainstorm by milling the top 3 cards of your deck. And for every music character amongst those cards, you can choose a music character with a level equal to or lower than the number of music characters revealed by this effect, add it back to your hand. So you mill 3 music characters, you can add back a level 3 or lower from your waiting room to your hand. And it also fuels the waiting room to be able to play standby stuff and be able to summon stuff. So really good, and just comboing with that is the Happy Halloween Kasumi. So when you play this, you can choose one of these in your waiting room, put it under her as a marker. While she has a marker, she gets 3,500 power, so she becomes a 6/5 level 1. Yeah, and the ability that as long as she's in the middle position of the center stage, if her battle opponent becomes reversed, you can pay 1, deal yourself a damage to salvage back a character. So really awesome effect being able to do that and being able to... sorry, brain fart. Being able to still get back cards for characters and whatnot for playing later. Sorry, I'm stuttering so much. Next is this 1/1 Midsummer Beachside Saya and Rimi. It's a 1/6, but it has an experience effect where if your experience is 2 or higher, they get plus 1,500 power and character encore. One of the really good standby targets. I'm considering bumping this up to 4. And then 3 copies of Club Show Tai, basically a 1045 Taige clone. She gets 500 power for each of your other music characters. So really simplistic there. And that's only 11 level 1s. But it's understandable. Because we have targets. We have a lot of level 3s and targets and at level 2 and whatnot. So first off, we have this 2/1 long name Tae Arisa Kasumi. It's a 65. Basically, if it becomes reversed by a character who is a higher level than your opponent's level, you can send that character to the bottom of your opponent's deck. So really good. It's an anti-changer, suicider. Then you have Club Show Arisa. It's a 2,500 backup for 1 cost, but then you can also pay 2 to refresh. But you don't take the damage. You just shuffle your waiting room back into your deck and proceed to go about your turn. Hopefully that way, if you've gone out of a whole bunch of climaxes, you can use that to get all your climaxes back into your deck. So, then 3 copies of Panicking Arisa. Her first effect lets you sack a vanilla that we do not run in the deck to be able to play her for a 0 cost. So that's irrelevant, but she's a 2/265 that she gets 1,000 power for each of your other music characters. So a full field makes her a 10/5. Sure, the 2 cost things, whatever, but more often than not, she is another big target for the standby effect. So you're going to be able to play this, summon this back row at level 1, and then be able to continue using it the following turns and just be able to hit your opponent with a 2-soul character. So, yeah. Just 5 level 2s, and now here we get into the massive amounts of level 3s here. I say massive, but it's a lot. Also, it's a variety of it, so I like that. So first we have 2 copies of Under the Fullmoon, Kasumi, and Rimi. If all your characters are music, she gets 2k. On play, you can discard a card to send the top card of your clock to your stock, so a stock heal, which is really nice. And then at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you can pay 1 stock, choose one of your other music characters, and swap them as standing. So being able to summon characters off the standby... Once again, this standby thing is awesome. Being able to summon characters back row off the standby and then immediately bring them into the front stage on your opponent's turn, and it's a really, really good one to use for that, and I'll get to that in a bit. 2 copies of Happy Christmas Saya. Early play condition if you have 4 or more music characters. Heal on play, and as long as you have 2 or more music characters, she gets 1,000 power. So she could be a 10k. 2 copies of Starrin'PARTY Rimi. I wanted to include her as a target for being able to put cards in the level, because you have a couple different experience cards in this deck. But then she also has some other nice effects. First off, she's a heal on play, and then she actually climax combos with the standby trigger, so I thought that was really useful. On attack, if you have the climax in play, all your characters get +1 soul. So where this doesn't give stats, she actually makes it so you get a stat off of this. So all your characters first off get a soul. Then all your characters get 1,000 power for each of your opponent's standing characters. In the Exodia combo deck, you do a combo to stand all of your opponent's characters, so this is a lot bigger in that deck. But say your opponent has 2 back row that they haven't been tapping. And, you know, they got like 2 standing characters in the back row. That means you can potentially give 2,000 power to all of your characters and +1 soul. So that's really nice, and I like being able to do that. I've done that quite a few times, actually. So, scoot these up. Next is the 1 copy of the 3/2 Arisa. She has a Climax combo, but we don't use it. That Climax combo is not in the deck, so I'm just going to go over the first 2 effects. First effect is a global 1500 to all of your music characters. And then on play, you rest one of your standing characters. So you just rest yourself, basically. On play from hand. Your opponent chooses 1 Climax card in their waiting room and returns all of their cards in their waiting room except that card back into their deck. So you basically can decompress your opponent if you know that they haven't gone through a whole bunch of Climaxes and potentially make a lot more damage stick. So that's really useful. You don't use that second effect, but so much more often than not at level 3, if I happen to trigger a standby or play one, I'll just summon her to the back row and have a global 15, which is really nice. So then we have 3 copies of the level 3 Tae. So she is really good. She's the other experience card of the deck. If your experience is 5 or higher, she gets 2,500 power, making her a 12k naturally. Her other 2 effects is her second one is a Climax combo with Moved with Everyone. When you play the Climax, if she is in center stage, you can heal 1 card off the top of your clock. So that's just being able to heal a little bit extra is really nice. But her third effect is where it shines, and that is during your opponent's turn, when damage dealt to you is not canceled, any kind of damage. It can be burn damage, it can be just normal soul damage, if that damage is not canceled, you can look at the top card of your deck and then either leave it on top of your deck or put it into your waiting room. So what you can do with that is, if you have multiples of these, say your opponent like swings for 2 or whatever, and that 2 sticks, for every single one of these, you can look at the top card of your deck and proceed to, if it's not a Climax, put it into the waiting room and mill through some of your deck until you would reach a Climax. So it's really useful, or especially if your opponent starts like pinging you for 1 at a time. What was the Mikasa from AOT? Her Climax combo is a swing for 1 on attack for the Climax combo. So if that 1 sticks, you can then top check and then hopefully cancel her actual soul damage, which is going to be higher. So that is the level 3 lineup, and I really like this setup. If I were to get a 4th copy of the Tae, I only have 3. I may end up taking out a copy of the Arisa, I don't know. But this is actually really fun, and I've been liking this setup. Lastly is the Climaxes. 4 copies of the Standby Trigger, which I'll explain in just a sec. And 4 copies of the 1K1 Pants Trigger. Sorry for not being even separation here. So Pants Trigger, this is really useful because when it gets, it's a 1K1. When it triggers, you can add back a Climax from your waiting room to hand, so you can get back Standby Triggers to reuse over and over. So Standby, see it looks like a little GameStop symbol. When you play this card or it gets triggered for an attack, you can pick a character in your waiting room with a level equal to or less than your current level plus 1. So if you're at level 1, a level 2 or lower character. If you're at level 2, a level 3 or lower character, etc. And then summon that character to any position of your stage as rested. So at level 1, when you play it, summon her back row, because she's a level 2, you can summon a level 2 or lower. So the back row is rested, and then you have a character to be able to potentially swing with 2 soul the next turn. And then every time, that's whether you play it as you normally would during your Climax phase or when you would trigger. So, really useful and really awesome being able to abuse that mechanic and just consistently have characters that are huge over and over and over. So, I've really liked this deck, and it has been a lot of fun. I plan to do a couple more different builds for Bang Dream because I've been picking up a lot of the cards. And I got a couple of deck ideas in mind, but hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Please subscribe if you want. If not, hey, just thanks for dropping by to check out this deck profile. And with that, we will see y'all on the flip side. Peace.